I'm Karen McCarthy and it's time to Karen-ize. Today's Friday when we do crafting, and today we're going to have some fun with gingerbread projects. So if you love gingerbreads like I do for the Christmas season, this is the video for you. Before we go on, I just want to thank my subscribers and remind you that we are having a contest for people who make comments. I almost said contests. For people who make see, there I go again. For people who make comments between now and the time that my subscriber list gets to 500, which we still have a little less than 200 to go. So please make some comments. Let me know your thoughts. Ask any questions. Let me know where you're from, anything like that, and you will have your name in the drawing. So let's get on to our projects. Our first project is going to be these gingerbreads made from cardboard. Now the cardboard originally was like this, and all I did was just put a damp towel over the top of them for 15 minutes or so, and then you can peel off this top layer and you have this really cool corrugated piece that we're going to use to make little gingerbread guys like this. And I think I'm going to put them together and make a garland to go on my kitchen window, since that's where I do my gingerbread theme. But I've already made quite a few, and I've done a couple of different designs and a couple of different kinds of bows. And we'll see if I need to make some more. I just have 6 right now. I'm not quite sure. I think I'm going to put some other things. Oops, one of my buttons fell off, so I'll have to fix that. I will put some other things in between, like beads and strips of cloth and things like that, I think. So I just started with this many. And then these, I wasn't about to throw them away, so I'm just going to turn them into some tags to put on gifts. So all I did, actually I did it on the wrong side. I took some antiquing wax and just kind of scuffed it up, but I want to do it on the other side because I didn't realize I did it on the side that I traced. So I'll go back and do that, and then I'm just going to put to and from, no face or anything, just make it very simple. And that's all there's going to be to it, and that way I don't waste anything. I love recycling. So we're going to get started. Do you ever do that? I did not move. You watched me. I did not move. Oh, here it is. And nope, that's not it. And I lost the corrugated one. There it is. It got stuck in that stack of finished ones. So I'm going to start with all the puffy paint. You could do this with regular paint. I just decided to do puffy paint. And it is a little more challenging, like to make the zigzaggy kind of look because of the corrugated. But this is not going to be real close to people, so it's not that big a deal. So first I want to look and see how many I have of each. I have some that I just outlined. And so it looks like I've got 3 that I outlined. So I'll do this one. I must have a piece of hot glue stringing these together. I'll do this one with the zigzag design. And I like this puffy paint that I get from Walmart. I ordered some online. I really like this, but it's a little harder to squeeze out. So, all right, so I'm just gonna do a little zigzag. I'm going to start it out on a napkin or a paper towel, so I don't get a big glob. And I'm just going to kind of do an S shape all around. Oh, it's coming out really well now. I did kind of make the opening a little bit bigger. And then I'm just going to do a little bit on each of the arms and legs. When you're doing it, be careful you don't put your finger on some of the stuff you just put down. This does take a little while to dry, so once I get this done, we'll let it dry, and then I'll come back and show you the next. So I realized that I was off camera doing this. I have a tendency to pull things really close to me. Let me get this where you can see it. I'm just doing a zigzag design on the cardboard, kind of ignoring the corrugated aspect of it. So there's that. You want to make real sure that you don't touch that stuff. I just touched a little bit of it, but I don't see where I messed it up, so I must not have touched it real bad. And then I take the black And I went back and forth. If you have kids, it probably would be fun to do googly eyes, but I decided not to. Oh, I'm gonna get it started here. So if we get a big glob, it doesn't glob too much. There we go. Come on. Sorry, I'm covering it up, but I'm gonna have to squeeze with both hands. And I just put 2 eyes. You could do the mouth in a lot of different ways, and I start with some dots, and then I sometimes just fill it in. All right, start it over here. Oh. Okay, then we're gonna let this dry, and then we will glue the accents on. So I will be back in a little bit. Okay, we're ready for embellishments. So first I'm going to put the bow. I figured it would be kind of hard for me to show how to make the bow, so I did take pictures of the different steps. Hopefully they'll be self-explanatory. But basically what I do is take however many strips of cloth that I want. If you have a cloth that is not the same on both sides like this one is, you want to make sure that the right side is facing down. And I put a piece of twine just under it going this way, and then I just loop it over one way, loop it over the other, and then tie it in the middle, and that makes a really easy bow. So I'll have those pictures at the end. So I'm just going to glue that where his like a necktie would go. And then I have these little candies that, oh, I see they're different sizes. Well, I'll use this for the bow and these for the buttons. They were just, I don't even remember where I got them, if I got them off of eBay, but it was like faux sprinkles, and they had these and then the little tube kind of things. I don't know what you call it. I'm not doing words very well tonight. So I just took some of these because everything else I had was a little bit too big. So I'm just going to glue that. And I've got 3 buttons, so I'm just going to put 3 little blobs of glue. And that's all there is for the embellishments. Of course, you can do anything you want and get even fancier, but I'm making it pretty simple. And there he is. And sometimes if the bow isn't going quite the way I want it to, like this one, I don't think the muslin is showing really well. Sometimes I'll glue it in place. But there we go. All right, I'm going to get set up for the garland that I'm going to make with this, and I will be back in a minute. Okay, I started the garland, and this is what it's going to look like. So I'll show you what I did. I made strips of cloth, and if you've never done that before, let me just grab something. And I made them I made them 8 inches and then cut them in half. Look, and you always end up with all this string. And about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide. So all I do is just cut a little slit. You can cut it all the way if you want really straight edges, but I like that frayed look. Then you just tear it, and that's all you have to do. And I'll put this over here because it's not quite the right size. All right, so I've just got a pattern going. So I've got I don't know if you can see, it's hard for me to see my phone. I've got my fabric strips here in the order that I'm putting them on here, and I have a plate here holding my beads. I have some red beads that I painted, and you can see they're not totally painted all the way, but they work. It works fine. And I measured my twine that I'm using to hang it on, just about 6 inches, 12 inches bigger than the space that I needed. And that gives me room for a loop at the end to hang it on my little hook. Okay, and then I put a little bit of glue on the end and just kind of twirled it like that to make kind of a needle, and it helps to thread it better. So my pattern is to do 1 strip of the first one, and I just tie it. And then one red bead. And I think that I'm not going to have to make any more gingerbread, but I might have to do one more. We'll see. And if I've got it too wide, a little bit too wide, I just kind of fold it when I'm tying it on here, and then it isn't quite so wide. And you want to make sure that when you're tying it so it's as perpendicular to the string as possible instead of going, you know, in the same direction as the string. And then a white bead. Then the next fabric strip. They don't have to be exactly the same width. I love doing fabric strips. I did some wreaths last year. It takes forever to just get the strips ready, but they're so cute when they get done. And I just put these pretty close together. I'm hoping that when I hang it, these don't want to turn around, but if so, I already trimmed these up a little bit. I'll just make some more gingerbread men just out of paper or something and put them on the back, so if it does twirl around, it doesn't look horrible. I don't want to make them double-sided totally because I think they'd be a little bit too heavy. And then the last fabric strip. Still haven't trimmed my fingernails, so they're a little bit long for this stuff. I see people with really long nails doing crafts, but they're more coordinated than I am, I think. Come on, there we go. Whoops. No, I didn't get it so it was even. So we'll try that again. There we go. And then I just take one of my gingerbreads, put it upside down, and I knew that I wanted it to go right across about the middle of the arms. So I just do a glue strip across the middle of the arms and glue it right next to that last fabric strip. And I don't want to get hot glue all over me, so I'm going to use my little stick and make sure it's in the hot glue. Got hot glue all over myself. And that's it. I just keep repeating that pattern, and then I will be done. So I will show you what it looks like when it's complete. So the lighting in our house isn't fantastic, so I took a couple of different pictures in different spots so that hopefully you can get an idea what it looks like. Putting it in the window, you really couldn't see it. So I decided to do it this way. And now here is how I made the bow. Put the twine out, put your strips of fabric over the top, and then fold one side over to make one side of the bow. Then fold the other side over, and you want to keep that twine in the middle. You can see mine's a little off center. And then you want to tie it right there in the middle. And here I've started it, and now I have pulled it tight to make the bow, and then you just trim off this extra string. Okay, the next project is going to be pretty simple. I have had this little tin, oh gosh, for years. The lid, it'll come off, but it's really hard, so I don't really want to do anything with it where I'm going to put something in it. So I thought it might be kind of fun to put it in my gingerbread kitchen. And so I'm going to use just the gingerbread on this silk screen transfer. This one came from Magnolia Design. And then I think I'm going to put just some snowflakes scattered around the bottom part. This one came from a maker studio. These were all, I think, last year's. I'm going to use some shimmer copper from Chalk Couture. I take something from everywhere. And I'm going to see how well it shows up on here because I would like it to stay kind of neutral. But if it doesn't, then I will just wash it off and we'll go with white. And then I have a few picks here, and we'll just see what's going to look the best once I get everything else done. So if you've never used silkscreen transfers before, let me grab, oops, hang on 1 second. I forgot one thing. I can use my pant leg, but it's easier to use this. They're self-sticking. This one's probably, yeah, still pretty sticky. So I don't want it to stick to this too much. I just want it to stick enough so that it doesn't bleed through when I put the chalk paste on. So I'm going to just get a little lint from this fuzzing cloth. You can use a towel, you can use your pant leg, just enough so that it's not going to stick real bad. All right, and then I'm only doing the gingerbread, and I want to put some of the pick here. So I'm going to, now there is something on this side, so I want that to be the back. So I'm going to put the little gingerbread over to the side as much as I can, kind of at an angle. I just smooth it down so there's no air bubbles. Make sure I'm in the camera there. And now these shimmer pastes, you don't have to, gosh, can't think of the word. Sometimes the regular chalk paste gets kind of thick. The shimmers don't, you don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to just make sure I'm covering all the edges and not getting onto those letters that I don't want. And just get this on here. I want to make sure it's covered really well, and then I just wipe off the excess, put it right back in the jar. And let's see if that showed up really well. Oh yeah, that showed up really nicely. Okay, so I'm gonna just put this to the side. I just take this over to the sink and I just wash it off and then let it dry upside down. That sticky comes back and then I'm ready to go. So I want to make sure I'm not touching this, so we're going to have to be kind of careful. So I'm going to get the snowflakes, get them fuzzed. And I'm just going to put this, just starting right by the handle. I'm going to keep it down. I'm not going to put it on the lid part, just on the base of the container if I can. It's round and it's not, it's not sticking on this very well. So I'm just going to do a tiny bit at a time. So I'm just smoothing it on there. Getting all the air bubbles out. Oh, look. See how pretty? I hope you can see. I can't tell with the light in here. Yeah, I think you can. So then I'm just going to move it over. And since I'm doing the same color, I can just do it again, although I don't want to get it on my fingers. So I'm going to use this to smooth it on. Okay. This shimmer, if you've used chalk paste before, the shimmers take longer to dry. Regular chalk paste dries pretty fast, but the shimmers do take longer. So I just want to be super careful. And I'm going to actually turn it over because it looks like it's, I don't know if you can see, that one didn't go really well. So it looks like it might be getting a little bit clogged. So I'm just going to use these ones that I haven't used. And I will probably have to wash this transfer to finish and start over again to finish this. But I'll do that off camera because you're seeing what I'm doing. Oh yeah, that last one did not turn out very well at all. So I'm just gonna get a wet wipe. Whew, these are disinfecting ones. They've got that rubbing alcohol smell. I'm just gonna wipe that off, and I think I'm gonna wipe this one up here, and then I will just redo those later after I clean the transfer off. So we're gonna wait for that to dry, and I'll finish up, and I'll be back to put the embellishment on. All right, so I got the snowflakes all around the bottom and this gingerbread on top, and then I just kind of cut apart a pick or two because they were all too big. So I am going to just kind of create my own. So I've got some greenery that I'm going to put down first. Just hold it there until it starts to cool off a little bit. Okay, and then I have this cute little pine cone, but I'm not sure if I want it this way or this way, so let me tip it up a little bit. I think I want it going down, so I'll just put some hot glue here. Ooh. Cover up the bottoms of the stems. And then I've got 2 different sizes of berries. And I'm just going to kind of play around. Oh, I got glue strings all over again. Just kind of play around with it a little bit and see how I want them. I think maybe one big one. And it's not going to work playing around, so I'm just going to have to do it. So I don't know if I can get it where you can see it very well. Put it right there, and then put a smaller berry on either side. I like to do things in odds. That seems to be the decorating tip, is to do odd numbers of things. Although, interestingly enough, these berries were on the picks with an even number. So there's that, and I don't know if I want a little bow. Nope, I think I like it just like it is. So there it is. Pretty simple, pretty quick. I mean, when you're doing these self-adhesive silkscreen transfers, you can do a project in no time at all. All right, so that's it for this project. Okay, for the next project, I just took some of these wooden snowflakes from Dollar Tree. Whoops, let me get it over here. And I painted both sides. I'm probably only going to be showing one side, but just in case. And I just used a couple of paints I had on hand. This one's called Toffee Brown and then Burnt Sienna, and just combined them. I didn't like either of them by itself for gingerbread. I got a chunk of paint there. There we go. And all I'm going to do, these I'm making for a tiered tray. All I'm going to do is just put some icing on them. So I've gotta get something here. I've got this tulip slick that I got from Amazon. Walmart has really good puffy paint. I just couldn't find any white the last time I had been looking. So I'm just going to make sure that this is unplugged. Whoop, yep, it is. I just wasted quite a bit. And I'm just going to just pretend like I'm icing them. And they will look like gingerbread cookies, hopefully, when I'm done. I don't have a super steady hand, but I don't think it really matters if the lines are totally straight. So this one's super simple, and you could turn this, they have holes for a string, so you could turn these into ornaments also. I think a gingerbread Christmas tree would be really cute. If I had another spot in my house to do a different tree, I think I would do that. My kitchen's pretty small. It's one of those galley kitchens, so I don't have a whole lot of space. Whoops, there's something on there I had to kind of jig around. But I think a gingerbread tree would be really cute. Makes me wish I had more rooms in my house. Not sure what I'm going to do in the center yet. I might do something different on each one just to make them a little bit different. Now I will say I did have to make the hole a little bit, whoops, what did I put my finger on? A little bit bigger to make this easier to push out. When I was first doing it, I My hand just about died trying to get the icing out of here. I don't know what you call it. Okay, I think with this one I am just going to just do some zigzags and a dot in the middle. And I think I'm going to start with the middle on this one. I'm just going to make some dots. You could make them all the same, of course, or do them differently. But that's all it takes. You could put some glitter on here. In fact, that might be kind of cute. Let me see if I can, what did I do with my glitter? Yep, there it is over there. That might be really cute. I just about fell into my chair. Just put some on while it's still wet. And that took that. Yeah, that adds just a little bit extra. So instead of watching me do this, I'm going to close out and I will show you the finished product at the end. All right, next project is a decoupage project. So I've got a grocery bag to help smooth it on without tearing the napkin. I had a vase that I just painted with some chalk paint. I did it with cottage white from Home Decor. I've got my little water pen, or you could just use a Q-tip or a paintbrush or anything dipped in water. I have this adorable napkin that I got from Walmart. It was either last year or the year before, and then my Mod Podge. So first we're going to get the napkin ready. There are 4 sides to this vase. So fortunately this has 4 of these gingerbreads on. It always also has, oh, it might be kind of cute to put the instructions on one side because it has the instructions for hot buttered rum. Oh, nope, it takes up 2. I don't want to do that. If it was just one side that had the whole directions, I would do that, but I don't think I want to have it on 2 sides. So when you are doing Mod Podge, you want to have it kind of blend into the surface. Now this is a white napkin, so it's going to blend in pretty well, but you want to, rather than cut it, you want a jagged edge. But even before I do that, I am going to separate. It's trying to separate already, yay. Sometimes that's the hardest part. I'm going to separate. Now this is a 3-ply. So I use these just like I would paper towels. So let's just take off the back 2 by themselves. I'll just put it over here out of the way. Where was it separating? There we go. I don't know if you can hear I've got 2 heaters going because it's kind of cold down here. We don't have heat in our basement where my craft room is. So if you hear any humming and blowing sounds, that's my heaters. Okay, then I am just going to take my water pen and I'm just going to go along the fold lines here. Is it getting it wet? Ooh, now it's getting it wet. And when you do that and just hold on to what you want to keep and then just pull the other one gently away, you get that jaggedy look, and then that is not going to show up. Once you put the Mod Podge on, it just disappears. It's weird because if you cut it with a scissor or something, that shows up. So I'm not sure what makes the difference, but it does. Okay, let's see. I'm going to cut them apart. It'll be easier. And I will just do one side. I won't make you watch me do the same thing on 4 different sides, so we'll just get one side done. And I went back and forth on did I want to put any glitter on here. Now I didn't have enough white glitter to do it, and I really didn't want a different color, so I decided not to. But you could just put some Mod Podge on, sprinkle some glitter on, and then let that dry, and then do this, or do it afterwards. I even have some spray glitter, but I only had silver and gold, and I just didn't want something to show up that much. So It'd be kind of pretty with glitter. All right, I am just going to go close to the design, but not super close, just to get a lot of that extra off. And just, I'll lift it up and hopefully you can see that. It just pulls gently away. Just put your finger on the part that you want to save so that it doesn't tear it accidentally. Just kind of like your, I mean, you can go close. I don't like to go super close though, because then I might tear the design that I'm wanting to save. And like I say, it just disappears when you're doing, when the background here is the same color as what you're doing it on, it just disappears. So it's always good to paint it as close to the same color as the background on the napkin or whatever you're using. I saw somebody doing something with this. I think it was on, I went to find it again and couldn't find it, so I can't even give them credit. I think they did it on some kind of a jar. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a cute design. And then I went and found my thing with all of my Christmas napkins, and lo and behold, I had it. I was thrilled. Okay, so I've got that torn out. Got paper sticking to me. And I didn't do it totally covering it. I mean, I still have some of the jar showing through, but I figured I was going to be covering most of it, and I can always go back. Oh my goodness. Oh, my Mod Podge was gluing itself shut. I can always go back and paint a little bit more if I need to. So I am just going to, now some people, they put the design on and then put the Mod Podge. I just find that I have a little bit better luck if I put a thin coat on first. I'm not sure why I have better luck that way, but okay. Then I painted myself. All right, then you want to pretty much figure out where you're going to have the design before you put it down, because once you start putting it down, the napkins can get kind of fragile. So I'm going to use, you can use saran wrap or something like that, and I'm just going to use it to get out all the wrinkles. And I like a few little wrinkles. It just kind of gives it that kind of old look. And I had a little bit go over the side, so I'm going to just put a little Mod Podge there. Okay, and then I like to put a little bit over the top, especially since this is going to be in the kitchen. It just gives it a little bit of protection. And it dries clear, so you don't have to worry. I don't even think I'm going to put ribbon or anything on here. I'm just going to leave this super simple. Just do this design on all four sides, and then put some Christmas greenery in there, and I'm done. So super simple project. You wouldn't even have to paint the jar or vase or whatever you're putting it on. The only problem with that is you'd have to really cut out close to the edge, and with all of the greenery here, there would be some white showing through, so probably would definitely look better if you did paint behind it. Okay, I will show you the finished project when it's done. So remember the little pieces that I had from when I made my corrugated gingerbread men? These are the pieces that I took off the top of the cardboard. I outlined one. We're going to make the other one into the front of a gingerbread, and we're going to make just little gingerbread people to put like in a tiered tray, or I might stick it in with some greenery. Who knows? There's a lot of different things you could do with them. So I'm going to start by outlining around. You could do this in white or any color that you want. I didn't really have a white that would show up really well, and I didn't feel like painting it. So I'm just going to do it like it's black stitching. Just go all the way around. Your stitches don't have to be uniform. That's what's cool about primitive art, is it's not perfect. In fact, that's what gives it its charm, I think. Trying to get that across to kids at the youth center was a challenge. So many of them wanted their art to be perfect. They wanted it to look exactly like the sample, and tried to encourage them to use some creativity, and that the imperfections or the changes are what make it charming. Okay, then I'm going to make just 2 round eyes. And I have a red marker. It's not a very good, I mean, it's kind of drying out, I think, but if I go over it several times, it will look okay. Then I'm going to take just a dab of some, this is hydrangea pink, if I can get the lid off. And I'm just going to dab a little bit on for cheeks. And I just have like a little pipe, or not pipe cleaner, Q-tip kind of thing. And I want it to be a little lighter than that, so I'm just going to blot it off. Okay, now with this one, I tried to just glue a little bit of stuffing inside just to give it a little dimension, and that, I mean, I don't know if you can see, it was really hard. So she'll be okay if she's at a distance, but, so this one, I got some, what's it called? Foam, I think it's foam sheet, and I believe I got it from Dollar Tree. Let me trim this piece up a little bit, and I just trimmed it a lot smaller than the gingerbread itself. So I'm making it so that there is a nice border all the way around that I can glue, and we'll see if this works better. I don't know. It's a tiny little thing. If I was doing fabric, which you could definitely do this with fabric, it would have been easy to just stuff it, but okay. So I'm going to glue that on. I'm not going to put a lot of glue. And I got to make sure I get it so that that border is all the way around. And I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Of course, if it doesn't work, you will never see this video. Well, you know, actually, even if I had it like that, it would be okay because of where I'm going to be putting these. They're not going to be that important to be glued totally around the sides, but let's see. Make sure I get it matched up, and then just press it down. Hold it for a little bit till that glue cools off, and then we'll see if it works. Forgot about those cheeks. They weren't quite dry. I think it's going to work. I just didn't get that pushed down enough while it was still hot. Now I glued it to my parchment paper. All right, let's just keep going. I just wanted it to have a little bit of dimension to it rather than just a flat piece of paper. And I did glue 2 layers of this together, and maybe I didn't need to do quite that much. I could have gotten away with just 1, I think. It's a little bit not sticking there. Let me stick some more glue in there. Yowza. It's definitely hot. So if you do gingerbread. I'd love to see some pictures of some of your gingerbread stuff when you get it up. Mine won't be up until, I might do it like the day before Thanksgiving. My son is coming for Thanksgiving, and it's a standing joke with him that he always has to help me haul my Christmas decorations in and then my fall ones out. So maybe if I can get it done before he gets here. Oops. And I would love to know if you have other themes. Like I'm going to have a theme, I might have said that on another video, I can't remember, of an ocean tree, like seashells and that kind of stuff. Sorry, I can't do something and talk at the same time, I guess. In my office, I figured out a place to put that in my office. And I got a cute little tree to do that's just kind of tabletop size. Although, I mean, that's what we have in our living room now too. We have a pretty small living room. And we used to try to do a big tree, but we'd have to take some of our furniture out into the garage and stuff like that. Finally decided, you know what? Let's just do a little tabletop tree in the window. And then we just have to rearrange things maybe, but we don't have to haul things out. I would love to have a house with big wide open spaces to do. I would love to have a huge tree. 2 or 3 trees actually. Okay, I'm into the point where I'm getting glue all over my fingers and then not able to function. So I'm going to turn it off. You don't need to watch me struggle with this. I do think I would have only done 1 layer. So if you do this, try just 1 layer and it wouldn't be quite as challenging to glue together. And we'll be back for the finished product. Okay, so I got him glued and that definitely was easier. He's not totally gluing very well in some spots, but it's not going to be a problem. And I'll probably just try to glue it again. But he turned out pretty cute. And I am just going to take one of the same bows that I used on the girl. And I'm going to put it right here for a bow tie. And then I just have 2 little buttons. Thought I had all the hot glue off my fingers, but I guess not. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue in 2 different spots here and glue those buttons on. Ugh. I am fighting with the hot glue today. There we go. Well, I got some sticking out, but when it gets cooled off totally, I will get rid of it. And there he is.